Hey there, YouTubers. Before we get into this Ramble video, just gonna let you know some stuff. It's all gonna be out the windshield, so you can look at it as just a podcast, basically. You gotta realize, I guess, not everybody wants to be on camera. I don't really like being on camera. Some people really, really don't like being on camera, and not everybody wants to share all their personal information on here. But this video should be entertaining. We were asked a question by a commenter. I don't like to call people followers. This ain't no cult or nothing, but a viewer asked a question. So we are gonna answer that question. We have not discussed it. We both said just jot down some notes. So that's what we're gonna do. It's beautiful. We are heading to Green Bay, Wisconsin from the Upper Peninsula on a very nice day, and I'm trying not to speed. So we will be back in a minute once we get ourselves all together. So that's the parameters of what this video is going to be. All right, a little bit more housekeeping before we start talking. We're almost to Menominee, Michigan. Menominee. And I'm using the GoPro 7 Black with a microphone that's in my hand. We're hoping not to have to yell, but we'll try to talk a little louder because this microphone is crap usually. But the one thing I wanted to add is Lake Michigan is not frozen very much at all. It is late December, and that is quite odd. Usually there should be a lot more ice on the lake than there is. But hopefully anybody out there ice fishing knows what they're doing. Again, we'll start talking soon. Go. Alright, here we go. And again, I don't know if this mic I'm holding in my hand is working or not. But the question we were asked was, since we were both solo van travelers in the past, what's the difference between that and then traveling together? So I will say, to start with, you'll get a chance. Take it easy over there, voice. Oh, again, somebody has nicknamed you the voice, so we'll go with that. First, it's better. Now, I have traveled in the past with other people for little bits, but that's, you know, caravanning kind of thing, going in separate vehicles, and we've done some of that, and we've done some in the same vehicle. We didn't confer on this stuff, so we did it separately.
Right.
I will let you go first.
Oh, well, so I kind of broke it down, advantages, disadvantages, and then I also have a third area, which is traveling in one vehicle.
Good. So I will do a little background. We did last summer, we traveled all around the UP together, but we did it in separate vans mostly because of pets. That's the reason. And we took one trip together, but we had to put her dog in the kennel and traveled with my then two cats. And if you follow along, you know that I've traveled with two cats for the longest time, and one of them is no longer with us. And the cat that I still have, Vinny, the one-eared diabetic wonder cat, him and the dog do not get along. We've been hoping it will get better. It's not terrible, but that's probably the main problem we're having as we travel together. So again, back to you.
Back to me.
Back to you.
Well, I have a list of things under advantages, and the first thing that I have on my list is 2 vehicles in case of a breakdown.
That is an advantage. And we both, to tell this, I have a 99 Leisure Travel, which I love, but it's old, and I don't always trust it. And you have a
2003 Sprinter Class B.
So both of our vehicles are a little bit older, but we like them. And then, you know, you start getting to think, okay, maybe one or both of us need newer. And the problem is, I like mine better, but it's old. And the new gadgets and a little bit more dependability of a new vehicle is obviously something that everybody likes.
Yeah, it's a matter always be somebody to, basically be able to drive if you had an emergency or
Sure.
you got stuck somewhere. Because the concern is when you're traveling with animals, your vehicle breaks down, then what do you do?
Right.
Not all hotels take pets.
Sure.
So it's kind of a little bit of a stress thinking about, like, what do you do when you're out of town in your RV and then it's got to be in the shop?
Right.
So, if we had to, we could be in one van together.
The disadvantage of that is you're paying twice as much for gas, which you had.
Right, right, exactly. Well, that's my little traveling together in one vehicle. That's,
Right. And sometimes having to pay for 2 campsites.
Right, 2 campsites, double fuel. You're putting wear and tear and mileage on 2 vehicles instead of 1. So that's why that's why we've been talking about getting something and just making the animals figure it out in one vehicle.
That has not been going well.
Yeah, we're a little all over the place with that. But anyway, so another advantage that I have on my list is security and safety.
Sure.
So there's 2 of us, and as a solo female traveling, that's always in the back of your mind that sometimes you may not feel safe.
Right. And if it's a bear, you can always trip me and run away. So there's that.
Yeah,
Right.
I think bears are the least of my worries. And then cooking together, that's an advantage.
Sure.
You have somebody to cook with, have your meals with. 2 refrigerators to put stuff in, so it kind of doubles your space of what you can carry.
Because older vans have crappy small refrigerators usually.
Yeah. And, storage space.
Sure.
2 vehicles of storage space. You can bring more stuff with you to, like when we went out in June last year, I think we went like 3 weeks and we didn't have to buy any food.
Right.
Because we had enough between our 2 storage,
Right.
fridges and cabinets and everything.
Well, I'm going to jump in because my list was kind of similar and a little different. I put one of the good things about you and I traveling together is that we have similar likes. We both like lakes and water and ocean and all that kind of stuff, and mountains and that kind of thing.
Sure.
We food, that's what made me think of it. I'd been dabbling in veganism for a while, and now we eat mostly that way, so that's convenient. I don't have to cook as much anymore because she's far better at it than I am. I'm supposed to do better on being like a sous chef. I gotta work on that. But yeah.
Well, I put 2 other things on that list of advantages, which is activities together and companionship.
Sure.
And now in the past, I've traveled with several ladies
Right.
on trips. So, I appreciate, spending time with other people and doing things with them. But, it's
Sure.
it's enjoyable
It's a
with
different.
you.
Yes. Same. Then I jotted down that we do have some differences, and it's working fine. But like the one thing that popped to my mind is you've been to and like going to the desert.
Yep.
And I've been in deserts before, and I'm not as big a fan as the deserts, but I haven't ever done a van trip to the desert like everybody tends to do. So a lot of my feeling different about it is there's no fact-based opinion on that because I haven't done it. So, and maybe that's the good part of the differences is somebody getting you a little bit out of your comfort zone can be a good thing, and doing what you enjoy and doing what somebody else enjoys helps you have a more full experience. I think. Don't
Sure.
look at me. I'm being serious.
No. I believe you. I believe you. And I have this thing in my mind where, like, I really enjoyed Arizona, being in the southwest corner of Arizona. I spent several weeks in Quartzsite and Yuma, and we went into California a little bit. It was nice and it was beautiful, and I look forward to going back there. And you know, you're not so excited about that.
No.
But I think if you go, you will change your mind. That's what I think. And if you don't, that's fine. But
Sure.
I hope we get a chance to at least try it.
And that's something, as having always done it pretty much solo. I mean, hanging out with some people in the past, but me having done it pretty much solo, maybe that is a good motivator to try something different. It's just, to me, the thoughts of going to Quartzsite or going to Slab City and even the RTR, and again, I don't mean to offend anybody, just has never seemed like something that I would be all that interested in. But you never know, and you can't make decisions that you don't know. We took the one trip we took together with the cats. That went well.
It did.
But, you know, we've been watching some other people's videos, and something I don't normally do, and there's a lot of, we all know most people seem to travel with pets, and there's a lot of people that will put a dog in a kennel for the day to be able to go do something, which I guess is always an option. But then the downside is, oh crap, I gotta pay attention better. I told you to watch this as a podcast, but I shouldn't be watching it as a podcast, should I? The downside is Vinny's diabetic, so that makes everything difficult. Okay, you go back to something for you.
Oh,
Sorry.
well, activities together. I think I like being in water a lot more than you like being in water. I love being in water, and if I can be in a lake or in the ocean, that is where I'm happiest.
And I'm gonna disagree with that. It's just, she's a Youper, I'm not, and I don't love jumping in Lake Superior as much as you do, because Lake Superior's cold.
You get used to it.
Yeah, you do.
Toughen up, man.
Toughen up. Youper up. Youper up.
No, but with seriousness, I think you probably like hiking a little more than I do. But
Sure.
I'm willing to do that, and I'm game to do whatever might be fun for two people to do. Whatever activities. I probably like art museums more than you.
Maybe. But see, that is the other point. Trying to do two things at once, and neither of them are working. Sorry about the windshield. Again, we're driving in the middle of winter, so that's going to happen. Watch this as a podcast. What you're saying kind of goes back to what I had said. We have very similar interests.
Sure.
We like to do the same things, and if you're going to travel with somebody that has dissimilar interests, well, that's not fun.
I'm a really super flexible person.
I think I've become a pretty super flexible
You're
person.
pretty flexible too. You complain about the desert too much, but
I do complain about the desert too much. having never been to that Vanlife desert thing, it just, I don't know. I know a lot of you out there love it, but it just doesn't. And I think the only way I could do it, and I guess it kind of changes what I was going to talk about. I get really antsy. I'm a more hyper person than you are, and it is difficult for me to sit in one spot for a long time. But you can't really do it very long either. I mean, it's just,
I probably can for a week or two.
Right.
But yeah, I saw that this summer. Like, we would be at a place for a few days, and I'd be like, "Let's go."
Yeah, let's see something new.
Yeah.
when we drive, like when I drive or when you drive, how long do you typically drive in a day?
Well, that's a problem for me. I would like to get to the point where I drove shorter days, but I'm usually one of those people that's trying to get somewhere fast, and I don't like that about myself. I would like to be able to slow down and see some stuff on the way instead of just having that end goal be all that matters.
And I'm similar. I'm fighting that same problem.
Yeah.
I've gotten better. I would drive 11, 12 hours, you know, and I don't like doing it that way either. So we're both working on that.
I didn't have a lot of time. So if I was driving somewhere, I had to get there. And now it's not that way. So there's no reason to be rushing. So yeah, I mean, I've been known to drive way more than I should have in one day, and it's not good for me.
Right.
And in some cases, it's probably not safe. So it's better to, you know, maybe have your days be between 4 and 5 hours of driving, and then find an interesting place to stop for the night. And this is another plus. I have Harvest Hosts and Boondockers Welcome.
Right.
So if we traveled in one RV, we could take advantage of that, and that makes it a lot easier to find places to overnight when you're traveling.
Sure.
Without having to pay for like a campground and stuff.
And my other problem can be is once I get driving, I don't stop. I stop for gas usually. That's about it. A lot of times I don't even eat, you know. And you stop more often while you're driving because the dog.
Yeah. And
cats can use litter boxes.
Right.
Vinny doesn't, but he can go all day. And I want to change that about myself of, you know, marathon driving and not stopping.
Yes, I agree.
And that's another place I wrote down where you and I differ a bit. And for the people that have watched my channel a lot, you know that I'm probably over concerned about the pets. So I very rarely had boondocked. Not a lot. And most of my traveling is in the summer when it's hot, going to places that are hot.
Right.
So I am overly concerned compared to most people, more than I even need to be, about temperature and stuff for the cats. I mean, not every trip I take is that one trip where it was 110 degrees every day, but I worry about them too much, and I'd like to do a bit more boondocking. And that's the other part of when you look at newer RVs with better solar and better battery systems to where you can do that. Okay, your turn.
Yeah, and I've mostly boondocked. I a little bit pay for campgrounds, but most of my camping has been, you know, where I don't really pay much. This summer that changed a little bit, and we were at all of those, mostly those forest campgrounds or state.
And in the east, it's just really hard to find true boondocking stuff.
Right.
You know, I'll stay at a Walmart. I've only stayed at a Walmart a couple times. I've stayed at gas stations and stuff. But for me, when I travel, I despise that. I want to go to a place, set the van up, not worry about anybody messing with my stuff, and explore. So that's why I've done the way I've done, and I can see myself changing because I do enjoy more of the freedom of not having to pay somebody to sleep at night.
Well, and that's another plus to spending time in Arizona and the eastern part of Southern California, because there's a lot of BLM land, and you know, in a lot of cases you can be 14 days at one place.
Right.
And it's totally free.
And my problem is, I don't know if it's a problem or whatever, but I am just a big fan of the North Woods, you know, Wisconsin, Minnesota, all that area, and up into Canada. I always told myself when I got this that I would just keep seeing new and different places, but I've kind of turned into going to the areas, not always the exact same place, but the areas that I like. And I think it'd be nice to change that aspect of myself.
Well, for me, I got my RV to see new places, to get out of the UP. Honestly, that was my thought. My main thought was to get out for the winter.
Sure. Because
I struggle with winter, the gray skies and the short daylight days, that has a toll on me, and I'm somebody that really likes warm weather, so that's why I thought I'd get out of the UP for the winter. But I also like, since I've met you, I've seen places in my neck of the woods that I never knew existed. So,
well, and for me, what happened was after the first time I came up to the UP, I'm like, okay, this is an 8.5 or 9 hour drive from where I'm at. So I got one big day of drive and then a lot of exploring. And that said, I mean, I've gone around Canada. I went all the way out to the West Coast and back. I've gone south. But, those of you that are watching the videos know that this is where I keep coming back to. And hopefully that's going to change a little bit. A little bit.
Well, there's a lot of places I want to go to and I want to see. There's a lot of national parks and, I just think about the age of my van, and it's probably fine, but I don't know. I just feel like maybe it's time for a change and get something a little bit newer and something a little bit bigger. And if we can do it together, we're saving a lot of money.
Right. And as everybody out there knows, that's like older van problems. Just, even if you're not having problems, it starts seeping into your brain that, well, my van's 24 years old. Something's bound to break soon. Okay, another thing that I thought of, that I've had to get used to, and I'm good at it, I think, but not all. I'm not a morning person, but oh my God, when you meet somebody who's less of a morning person than you, it takes some getting used to. Now, I will say the one thing that you've done great on is if we're at a place and we're not going anywhere, that doesn't matter to me at all. If I get up earlier and want to go do something, that's fine. But if it's moving day, I got that thing in my brain that I can't shut off, that I get all antsy and I want to get going early. And you have done an awesome job of, you really have, of dealing with that part of me. And I think I've done a pretty good job of dealing with letting you be you. Because if you're used to, for years, traveling by yourself and setting your own rules and doing everything you want to do, it does take some getting used to, even in the best of situations like this.
Sure.
And maybe that's something that people out there have to realize is, your personality is your personality, and it's not always going to change, but you try your best to meet happy mediums with somebody else, and I think we've done that.
Right.
Other than, when I go visit somewhere, I want to buy a new t-shirt every place I go. And that is... And
I'm going to probably judge you for that.
You do judge me for that. And you should, because I have far too many t-shirts.
Yeah.
Far too many t-shirts.
Well, the only disadvantage I kind of came up with, which it's not even a disadvantage, it's just part of life.
Right.
And spending a lot of time with somebody is sometimes you just want to be alone.
Yeah, sometimes you need a minute. I'm a lot.
Right. Well, and that's... You're... No, that was my mouth before opening before my brain kicked in. You're not a lot. You're you, and I accept you. And so to find workarounds for stuff, which I think for me is part of the reason why I stay in bed longer, because that gives us both some alone time.
That gives me my morning time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that maybe makes you feel a little bit like you're by yourself.
Sure.
And we all need downtime where you're alone. You can't be
Sure.
with somebody constantly without having breaks and stuff. It's just natural that you want to have alone time. I think that's just a natural thing for people to want or
Well,
need.
and that goes back to what I was saying before, is my personality is I can get bored sometimes and I can get antsy. And I think, this comes down to any way you're with another person a lot, is you got to communicate.
Yes.
And I think that we do really well at
We
that.
do really well, and that's part of the magic of our relationship, is that we talk about everything
Right. And
all the time.
my previous life was not that way.
Me neither.
Right. One thing I found is we both like to drive, and I am the worst passenger on this planet, quite possibly.
It's called side seat driver, not back seat driver.
Yeah, I'm definitely a side seat driver. And it's the control issue, you know. I do not like being a passenger. So I've improved. I've gotten better. It's lucky you're a good driver. If you were a bad driver, we'd be having fights and arguments all the time.
Would we?
Oh yeah, if you were
think?
a bad driver, there's no excuse for bad drivers. Take a momentary break, YouTubers. All right, I'm almost at the end of my list. Well, I think I'm technically at the end of my list. I again want to apologize if the audio and all that kind of stuff. The thing that I have learned is it is awesome to share experience with people, and there's also every now and then it's good to have the moments of yourself. You know, if you're watching a sunset together, that's beautiful. Or if you're kind of watching it by yourself for a little self-reflection, that we're able to do both of those things. So I think the only issue we really have is the pet issue.
Yep.
You know, that if those two animals got along better, we wouldn't really have to think that much about all the stuff we have. And there was the GoPro doing GoPro stuff again. But I'm not getting rid of Vinny, and she's not getting rid of her dog, so this is something that everybody that travels with pets has to figure out. Okay, so that's mostly my stuff. You got some more.
Well, just in terms of if we were to travel together, I think another benefit of that is navigation.
Oh God, yeah.
You know, when you're traveling by yourself, you kind of have to have everything perfectly mapped out. But sometimes you want to change your plans or whatever. It's hard to do that when you're on the road driving.
Well, and that brings up, you're a little bit more of a planner than I am, right? A little bit more.
Right. And I don't mind doing it.
And I hate doing it, so I like somebody to do. Just tell me where I'm going, I'm happy.
Right.
Seriously.
Sure. It's just a matter of finding something that will work for us. You know, we can take shorter trips, but I have some grandiose plans about long trips.
Long. Well,
Far, miles. Alaska. You know, I don't think either one of us feel comfortable going.
No, I can't take Eddie to Alaska.
No. And I wouldn't want to do that to my van either. So I think, I don't know.
So what do you do then, YouTube world? What do you do then?
Has anybody been to Alaska?
Yeah, lots of people been there.
I mean,
I know.
I mean, people watching this, because tell us what you drove if you drove there.
Because we currently watched. We found a channel that we like, and they did a big Alaska trip, And I've watched it in the past where the roads looked horrible. And according to them taking a trip semi-recently, the roads did not seem bad.
No.
So, yeah, but when you have an older van, you know, those things you start just telling yourself, no, I can't do that. What else
Right.
you got?
And I don't want to be. I don't want to be limited.
Sure.
I want to just be able to, if we want to go, you know, to Yosemite, we just plan it, we go to Yosemite, and it's not a big deal.
Right.
You know. And we're not going to do that in 2 vehicles.
Right.
It's just going to be too cost prohibitive. But in 1 vehicle where we share the expenses, you know, that makes more sense. But overall, I tried to think of more negatives, and I just, you know, other than just trying to get along with somebody, which we do anyway, you know.
Right.
It's no different than if we're at my house or if we're at your house.
Right. You can't travel with somebody you don't like. You know what I mean?
Well, you can, but it's not going to be very enjoyable.
But that is a thing for other people. We're lucky.
Yes.
But a lot of people want to travel in totally different ways. I had a friend who got all excited, went out and bought a travel trailer, and his wife hated it, wouldn't go. So, you know, that's obviously the first thing. You have to get along. You have to like spending almost all your time with somebody. And once you find that, the little things that are different are not hard to figure out.
Right.
You know, if I get on her nerves, I'm sure it's going to happen eventually. I won't get offended if I'm just told, hey, why don't you go for a walk or something? You know? Or if I find myself getting irritated, why don't I go for a walk or something? Where that's common sense, obvious stuff about traveling anyway with somebody. You have to get along, and you have to be caring about your own feelings and caring about somebody else's feelings.
It just comes down to respect and compatibility. And if you have those 2 things, I think you can probably pretty much do anything.
Sure. We got anything else?
I don't think so.
All right, that's it. We got it all. Hopefully that was entertaining, enlightening. If you have other questions or ideas or stuff like that, suggestions, because when I make all these YouTube videos, I do my best never to try to be one of those people that seems like they got all the answers, because I don't. So if you do different ways or have different ideas, you know, comments for us are wonderful for us to read, or comments for other people to give ideas to other viewers are always appreciated. So as I always like to say, I think we're done. I don't always like to say that, but I do think we're done. We hope you enjoyed and have a great and wonderful day.